This idea of getting out of the matrix, because this is something that happened to me. I wish it would have happened earlier, but maybe it happened when I was like maybe 27 or 28. And I always say that the universe tapped me on the shoulder and said, John, it's time to wake up. And my life changed. I mean, I suddenly saw things differently. My whole life changed. And I went down this, what I would call the woo-woo path, which was something very strange for me, being an analytical engineer, software developer for such a long time. What was the thing that pulled you from the matrix? What was that experience for you?
I really wanted to be like a single moment that would be really tidy, that, makes a great story. The reality is it was a lot of little things over time. There was moments of absolute desperation. And I think that if I didn't have that, so when I graduated film school, this is back in the late 90s, even what they called a no budget film was $100,000. And I didn't know anybody that had $100,000. I'd never had $100,000 in my life. That might as well have been, $100 million. It was like, I didn't even know where to start. And so I felt totally hopeless, totally lost. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life or how I was going to make anything work. The Matrix planted a seed in me, but even that wasn't like some moment where I walked out and was like, oh my God, my life is different. It was like, it was an awesome analogy for, okay, you could do anything you set your mind to, but you've got to like learn that stuff, right? And so in the movie, he learns Kung Fu by downloading. He's got it instantly. And I started asking myself, okay, what's my version of being able to download something rapidly? And for me, it was reading, right? So I was a very slow reader, but Audible allowed me to listen to a book, and I could listen to it at 3x. And so now it was like, whoa, I'm really able to get a lot of information pretty rapidly. And that was a huge breakthrough. And then it was meeting these two guys who would later become my partners in Quest. And they were entrepreneurs and they knew how to think like an entrepreneur. And so I'm reading all these books, and then they're echoing it in real life, what it looks like. And then I go to work for them, but they hire me as a copywriter. But they're like, don't think of yourself as a copywriter. You could be a partner in this company, but you've got to become the right person. So I'm like, wow, all these books are telling me I can learn anything I put my mind to. I've got to like get in, grind it out. And these guys are actually giving me the opportunity to test that and to see if when I add a skill and it has real world implications, like, can I move up? And I did. And so like that's working. And then you really start to believe in it. And the one thing I will say that was like an epiphany was I was arguing for an idea that I knew was the wrong idea in the business. This was a technology company that they hired me on as a copywriter for. And I'm arguing for this idea. I know it's the wrong idea, but I wanted it because it was mine. And I needed that like ego hit of like, yeah, man, you're smart, you're good. And in my head, I'm screaming like, this is wrong. And I had told everybody, myself, my wife, my father-in-law, my friends, my family, I'm going to be rich one day. And so here I am. This is my best shot to get rich. These guys are telling me I can earn my way to being a partner in the company just through performance. And I'm arguing for an idea that I know will move the company backwards. And then I actually convince them that I'm right. And so I have this moment of crisis. And I'm like, what do I actually want? Do I want to just feel good about myself? Or do I actually want to get rich? And I thought, at the end of the day, I want both. And there's no way for me to go through life without feeling good about myself. And I really do want to generate wealth. At the time, I'll be really honest, I want to be rich. That's exactly what I was saying to myself. And finally, I realized that I have to switch what I build my self-esteem around to always support my goals. And I didn't have the words at the time, but I've since read a book called Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb. And he talks about the difference between something that's resilient and something that's truly anti-fragile, judging by your reaction. You've read it. And he talks about like something that's anti-fragile, the more you attack it, the stronger it becomes. So I thought, how can I build my self-esteem around something that the more you attack, the stronger it becomes? And the only thing that I can think of even to this day is to be the learner, to always being willing to admit that you're wrong, to always looking for a better, more efficient way to do something. And in switching my self-esteem to that, I no longer argued for ideas that were wrong just because they were mine. My ego was built entirely around being willing to admit that I was wrong, always being hungry to learn, putting in the work to learn. And when you're around somebody that will admit, even if 5 seconds before that, they were arguing for something they really believed in passionately, and then they go, wait a second, you actually just convinced me, because they're open to that. And they say, you know what, I was wrong 100%. You're right. Let's get behind that idea and go. Like, you earn so much credibility with people for doing that. And that's the only thing in my life that was like literally from 1 minute to the next, I realized I have to change completely. Everything else has been like messing up and then like sort of thinking you have it and then messing up some more and just learning from that. A very muddy process. It took a very long time. But yeah, that's been my process.